Alright, tonight we're going to open up Doctrine and Covenants 4218. If you're not LDS, then you can, or if you don't have a Doctrine and Covenants, just go ahead and Google it, or look up Unforgivable Sins in Mormonism, and it'll be, if you Google it, it'll be the top one. It'll have the top thing. It'll be spotlightministries.org. We'll have an article on it, and it'll show you the one of the lesser known doctrines of the Mormon Church is murder is considered a grievous, so grievous that one who commits sin can never find forgiveness. The Doctrine and Covenants declares the following: and now behold, I speak unto the church, thou shalt not kill, and he that kills shall have no forgiveness, or shall not have forgiveness in this world, nor in the world to come. Doctrine and Covenants 4218. Immediately off the bat, it poses one problem, that Jesus died for all sins, paid for them on the cross, the sins, for all the sins of all man in the world, not just ones that were, there was no sin too grievous that he couldn't handle, and his blood wasn't pure enough to cleanse any reprobate. His blood was definitely strong enough and definitely pure enough. But if that was accepted as true, that's fine. Let's go with this one. Okay, it's true. Let's go with that and say, okay, well, if that's true, then let's look at if that is true, then let's look at the actions that took place in Carthage jail. In Carthage jail, Joseph Smith was spoken about by, I forget the man's name, but he was said to be going to Carthage jail like a lamb going to the slaughter. He was kind of put up there with Jesus going to be a sacrifice and be a martyrdom, but Jesus was 100% submissive the whole time, and actually people that tried to defend him with arms, he said, no, don't. I mean, Peter picked up a sword and said, started swinging it. Somebody cut off the ear. Jesus healed the ear and said, no, Peter, put down the sword. He who lives by the sword dies by the sword. Don't pick up arms. Joseph Smith, and the people that write about him doing this kind of give you that same feeling like he was doing something like Jesus, where he became a lamb at the slaughter. But when you look at the historicity of it, Joseph Smith was being brought there to Carthage jail for an abundance of reasons. One of the reasons that he was murdered is because he had there's about 3 different reasons, and maybe there's more reasons why. One was that he had broken a printing press that was in the counties, I believe, county printing press, printed the newspaper, that was getting ready to publish some evidence that he was had multiple wives that were secretly wives, and keeping that from Emma Smith. Another reason is that he had stolen a lot of the Masonic temple ordinances and things that they do in the Masonic temples from them, and applied them to Mormonism and called them gods. So the Masons were after him. He had always been being, not always, but he had been since they got kicked out of Missouri. One of the other reasons, I believe it was Missouri, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is because he was printing false money and producing fake inks to print false money. so people were not, they wanted his head for this. But that aside, that doesn't disprove him at all. It kind of shows that he's kind of a shady guy, but it doesn't disprove him as a prophet by any means. But in Carthage jail, he had somebody smuggle in a 6-shooter, and he took it, and the guard took it to him, and also gave him a bottle of wine that he asked for. And so, with this 6-shooter, when the doors were being stormed at the last moments of Joseph Smith's life, they stormed the door, they pointed the 6-shooters in there and blindly shot and hit his brother Hiram, killing him dead. And when he saw that his brother Hiram was shot, he turned to the door and started shooting. I believe it was 3 of the bullets striking true, or hitting and actually firing, and 3 of them not. And he hit 2 men, killing both of them. The biggest man in the room, which is kind of funny, kind of interesting, not funny, interesting that the biggest man in the room didn't get hit at all. He actually just was missed. And he ended up, it was afterwards, I think it was 2 days later, they found out that these men died, so they suffered for quite a bit. Now, if that first true, that if a man commits murder, he's not forgiven, thus, if you're not forgiven, you go to hell, holds true, and Joseph Smith killed 2 men, is Joseph Smith in hell? Just a question.